Hi everyone, welcome back. Today I am going to do Inktober Day 16 and also going to review that small palette, the mini palette that I put together the other day. This was the one, the size of a business card. And I also wanted to show you a close-up, if I can get it here, to just show you these pans were pretty full when I started, and you can see how far down they've come once they dry. So whenever you're filling up a palette, excuse me, for watercolor, and you're worried that you're overfilling them, as long as you let them sit open to air for a few days, then they will even out. In fact, this Hooker's green one that I did here looks almost empty. You can even see the bottom of the pan here. And then there are a couple that are a little fuller. So anyway, I just wanted to show you that they did go down, and I'm probably going to add a little more paint to a few of these. But I did use it yesterday. It was almost dry, but not like it is today. So yesterday I was behind again. And yet I did for Inktober Day 14 was tree, and this is what I did for that. And then Inktober Day 15, I just quickly sketched a hammock with some palm trees for relax. This was the bare minimum. But in fact, they look more like feathers than palm trees because I didn't actually do leaves. So, but that's all right. I'm just going to move on to day 16. And today's prompt is water. So I will go ahead and I'll start sketching that. And then I will paint with this palette. And I will tell you how I like it when I've finished. One thing I also wanted to tell you guys was that I appreciate everybody who messaged me. There were a few of you who messaged me to tell me that my address was showing on my video for that mini palette. I tried to fix it using the YouTube Creator Studio, which is absolutely horrid to work with. And I was able to blur it out and then realized that there were another few seconds where it came back into view, and I tried to blur that out. You can only blur once. So ridiculous. So I had to take it down, and then I reposted the video so that I could splice out that area. But I just wanted to thank you all for that, for letting me know. I'm going to put a bridge in here, I think. So let me go ahead and speed this up. I've been painting a little bit with this, and I've been using my size 12 silver black velvet brush. And of course, brush sizes are all relative because it depends on what company you use. This would be a Princeton Mop size 6 and then my Silver Black Velvet size 12, which is probably a third of the size. Then this one is probably equivalent to the size 12. This is a Rosemary and Company Series 40 triangular brush, and I can't remember what size it is. It's not listed on there. In fact, I think it might be their only triangular brush. That one will work too. So the only thing I'd have problem with, I believe, is like my oval, although I think I could still use that even. So I'm pretty happy with the way this palette is working so far. As far as mixing colors, I haven't used this wash area yet. Maybe I'll do that for the water. We'll check that out. And I'm going to go on with my tree here. So I will grab, actually I'll just use a little Hooker's Green. I'm going to use this. And it is beading up a little bit. So I can see why she wants you to clean it off. But I do think it's not so severe that it won't eventually kind of heal itself as I use it and wear the finish down. This is too watered down here. This isn't a very elaborate drawing today, but I need to get busy on a commission that I'm working on. Somebody requested that I do it on camera, so I will try to do that. But it could be not something that I will continue. We'll see how far I get on camera, though. This brush is too wet. These Silver Black Velvets are Squirrel and Rizlan, and they hold a ton of water. I haven't used it in a while, so I'm out of practice with that. These trees are in the distance, so they should be cooler and paler in color. So I've used a cooler green by adding some turquoise in. I'm going to dab this a little bit so that we can move on. There, get the excess water off of there. And I'm going to move on to this one. So far I'm really liking this palette. I can hold it in my hand very easily. I could probably attach it to my book too if that's what I wanted, but I always run the risk, because I'm a slob, I always run the risk of screwing up my other pages, so I'm not sure I want to have paint there where I can be slopping it around on my page, because look what I did already. See, I got blue on this side. That's turquoise, I can tell, and it's phthalo turquoise, which means it's not going anywhere. It's gonna stain, yep. I knew it. Oh well, no big thing. Okay, now, whoops, something I see that I forgot over here was I want to continue these trees on. So, let me take some of that. This brush is getting a little bit big for this. I'm going to have to change to a smaller brush. I wanted to use the bigger brush to see how well I could get it into the palette. Okay, I'm going to speed this along now. Now, the one thing that I've noticed with this palette so far is that there are times that I want to mix something and I have one color on one side of the palette and then the other color on the other side of the palette. So I see that as being a difficulty for mixing. I guess I could grab the color on one side, bring it over, and then mix it in. But sometimes when you need to add more color to it, then it can become a problem. Now here I'm just going to be using two colors from the same side, so it won't be too big an issue. I'm using some Payne's Gray and some yellow ochre for my bridge. And I'm just going to put this all over. I didn't mix enough. See, I'm not used to this palette and I don't know how much I can fit on there. Now you see already that the bubbling up is starting to mellow out, and I didn't have to put any abrasives on this, so that's kind of nice. But my brush is a little dry, not used to that, but I'll get it slowly. This is just something that I'll have to get used to with this palette, knowing just how much I can mix. Okay, now I want to go back in with some other colors. Whoops, that's a little too heavy. So far, I'm really liking this palette, though. I can see that when I'm out urban sketching, this could be a great advantage to have it. And I'm not going to go out sketching today because it's pouring down rain here. You know, that typical fall rain you get. Well, at least we get. October is pretty wet here. And it just leads into a wet winter filled with snow. Now I'm going to go back and I'm going to add some Payne's Gray into the mix. Okay. Now I'll go ahead and finish this up and we'll meet back. Okay, so here is my finished Inktober Day 16, which is water. I think I do need to add a little more of a shadow there though. Let me mix up a purple real quick here and see if I can get a little more shadow in there. Oh, that's too purple. That's too dark. I want to get the bridge in here without ruining too much of the white water. I like that white water in the back, so I'll just leave that like that. That'll be good enough. Okay, so there is my Inktober Day 16 water. And as far as this palette goes, let me back this up just a little bit here. As far as this palette goes, for the most part, I'm liking it. I don't see any huge problems with it except what I told you earlier about if I want to grab a color from this side and mix with something over here. But for the most part, that isn't going to be a huge issue. And phthalo colors are very staining. And I used phthalo turquoise on this side so you can see it's permanently stained my palette. But this isn't meant to stay pretty. So all in all, I didn't have any trouble using my bigger brushes. I didn't try my huge mop brush, but even if that were the case, I could mix with a smaller brush, set up a wash, and then go in with my big mop brush to pick up my pigment. So that's not going to be a problem either. It is so lightweight. It's amazing how lightweight this is. I mean, it's heavy duty enough that it's not falling apart or anything, but it is lightweight that I can hold it and hold it and hold it, and it's not bothering me in my hand or anything. Not that any of my other palettes are super heavy, but when I think about my favorite palette, this is probably about 20 times, maybe 30 times the weight of this. So I'm very happy with it. I think that if you're looking for a small palette, that this might be worth giving a try. The prices are not inexpensive. Like I said, the one thing that I noticed was that the prices were high. When you think about getting a Schminke palette or an empty one I'm talking about, not one with watercolor, or one of these, you know what I mean? This one I got was $22 or $25. Excuse my paints. These are all super old. I just shoved the pans in there. But this was not that expensive, and it holds a lot more mixing area and can hold the same amount of colors if I use half pans. I like to mix whole and half pans in this palette. Also, I can take the center out and I can add 3 rows in without any trouble. So I could get even more in. And I have this on the back that I can hold my hand, put my finger through so that I don't drop the palette at all. This was less expensive than purchasing this one for the $35 charge that she charges. Now, understandably, she is doing these by hand. Well, I don't know. You say handmade, but these are actually, I'm thinking these are makeup palettes, like eyeshadow palettes and blush palettes that she's bought to put in here. They are not rust proof. So she does have in her instructions to let your colors air out between. I spoke to somebody in the comments section on one of my videos who said that she's had one. She's never had any problems with rust. And I can't remember if she bought one of these or if she bought them from another company. But she hasn't had any trouble with rust, but she had heard that some people put nail polish on the outside of the trays so that they won't get rusty underneath. But I don't know. I think you'd have to be slopping a lot of water in these palettes in order for that to happen. and I really don't do that. So, I mean, it would be pretty hard to do that in such a small palette, I would think. Everything's in there pretty tight. So, I don't know. We'll see how that goes over time, and if that should change or becomes a problem, I will let you know. But I don't anticipate any issues with this palette. I think it's a very clever idea. And like I said, she has a lot of different sizes that you can purchase. The 4-inch palette sounded interesting to me. It had larger pans. They're still the same depth because they're still makeup pans, but they were square. So they looked like, I don't know, maybe 1-inch square. And so I think they hold like 12 or 16 colors probably. They're 1-inch square in a 4x4 palette. So anyhow, my impression on this is very good. A little bit expensive, but very good. And probably worth the money, especially if you were doing something like the Urban Sketchers Symposium and you were going to be out walking all over the place. Somebody has requested that I do a video on what I actually take out with me urban sketching. I did do that one video on packing my bag for a trip, and it was heavily packed, but when I get to where I'm going, I remove a ton of stuff. So I will do a video on that so that you guys can see exactly what I take out with me when I urban sketch. And really though, that's a personal preference thing, and it's a lot will depend on what you like to have with you, and basically finding over time what works and doesn't work for you. So, but I can share what I do, and if that helps somebody, then great. But that's it, everybody. You have a great Inktober Day 16. If it's raining where you're at, stay dry, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.